Hello. Are you Raphael's mother? Yes. Did something happen to Raphael? Raphael fell from the jungle gym at kindergarten. What? He's conscious and his life isn't in danger, but we think it would be best to have him checked at the hospital just to be safe. I understand. I'll head there right away. Later at the hospital, the doctor who examined my son asked me, "Are you Raphael's mother?" Yes. Is he all right? As far as the fall from the jungle gym is concerned, he's fine. Is there something else? About Raphael, has he ever undressed in front of others? Undressed? My name is Nadine. I've been working at a stationery company for 10 years since graduating from college. I'm already 32, but I'm living a fulfilling life. I work in sales, and I've consistently been among the top 1 or 2 performers in my department. I must say, I'm quite the capable working woman. I never wanted to be looked down upon for being a woman, so I've always given it my all. Though there is overtime work, since it's a good company, they properly pay for overtime. I'm blessed with wonderful colleagues and enjoy my work. Nadine, what about the other thing? What other thing? Marriage. If you want to have children, it's better to do it while you're young, like I did. Oh, please. I've had enough of marriage. I don't even have a partner, let alone thinking about children. Shouldn't you hurry up a bit? Mind your own business. I'm enjoying life in my own way. Actually, I was married once when I was 25, but got divorced. The cause was my partner's infidelity. Since then, I completely lost any desire to marry again. That's why I threw myself into work, though my female colleagues worried about me. But I believed marriage is about destiny. There's no need to actively search for it. When the time comes, I'll meet someone who's right for me. That's how casually I approached it. Then, that encounter came suddenly. At a new client's office, a man approached me. Looking at the business card he handed me, I saw the name Paolo. "Excuse me, if you don't mind, could we exchange contact information?" "Is this for business or personal reasons?" "Personal. I fell in love with you at first sight. You're quite direct. Please give me your phone number and messaging app contact." "All right." Though it was our first meeting, I had noticed Paolo's eyes meeting mine quite often. His presentation was solid too, so thinking we could start as friends, I registered his phone number and messaging app account. "Love at first sight," he said. Am I really that attractive? Actually, it was my first time being confessed to by someone I'd just met, so I felt a bit giddy despite my age. That night, Paolo messaged me right away. After exchanging messages for a while, we switched to phone calls, and ended up talking so long my ear hurt. When I glanced at the clock, it was already nearly 1 a.m. We had lost track of time, completely absorbed in conversation. Before hanging up, we set a date for the weekend. We continued dating, and exactly 2 years ago, we decided to get married. Actually, he too had been divorced and had a son in kindergarten. The fact that he had a child was surprising, but since I had experienced divorce myself, I didn't mind too much. Before marriage, I wanted to live together for at least a year. That was my wish. I thought living together beforehand would help us better understand each other. Considering his son would be with us, we chose a spacious apartment. His son's name is Raphael. He quickly warmed up to me and was an honest, very sweet child. Raphael was very attached to his father, Paolo. He always obeyed what Paolo said. "Hey Raphael, would you like to take a bath with me sometimes?" I'll ask Papa. You're such a good boy, always listening to what Papa says. After a while, Paolo came home from work. "I'm home." "Welcome back." "Welcome home, Papa." "Raphael, have you been good?" "Yes, I was talking with Nadine." At those words, Paolo's expression seemed to twitch slightly. "What were you talking about?" "Papa, can I take a bath with Nadine today?" "No. We decided you'd take baths with Papa, remember? You don't have to get so angry. That's why." "I'll bathe Raphael." "I see." "Well, please do." He didn't need to get so angry. Paolo raised his voice with unprecedented intensity. "I thought since we're practically family now, it would be fine for me to bathe with Raphael. Besides, after we get married, there will surely be times when I'll need to give Raphael his bath." But Paolo must have his reasons. Trying not to think too deeply about it, I started preparing dinner. Finally, we submitted our marriage registration. We chose July 4th, Independence Day, as our anniversary so we wouldn't forget it. Since we were already living together, honestly, it didn't feel particularly fresh, but I was overjoyed that Paolo and Raphael were becoming my family. Even I was surprised that I, who thought I was done with marriage, was getting married for the second time. Paolo became my husband, and Raphael became my son. Just thinking that I won't be alone anymore in life makes my heart flutter. After submitting the marriage registration at City Hall, we decided to go eat something delicious. But it was still only noon. I enjoy going to spas, so since we had time, I decided to invite my husband and son. "How about we go to the spa now?" I suggested, and Raphael excitedly said, "Wow, I want to go." However, Paolo made a suspicious face. "No, let's not." "Why not?" "It would be nice to go together sometimes." "Why don't you just go by yourself?" In the end, I gave up on the spa and we went home together. "Well, I guess it's fine. I'll just go to the spa alone from now on." Come to think of it, I remembered he had also objected to me bathing with his son at home. Why is Paolo so particular about these things? I was somewhat afraid to ask him, so I decided not to bring it up. That night, my husband and son bathed together as usual, and I bathed alone. While they were in the bath, I brought Raphael's pajamas to the changing room. When I tried to call out while opening the bathroom door, I found it was locked. Perhaps he thought I would try to peek in. Thinking that Paolo was really particular about bathing, I called out from the changing room. "I'm leaving the pajamas here." "Thanks. Can't Mom join too?" That's not allowed. I don't mind. When I say no, it means no. I left Raphael's pajamas in the changing room and returned to the living room. My husband's obsession with bathing still bothered me. Was he hiding something from me? Now that we're married, I wish he would tell me everything. I felt a bit lonely. While I was lost in thought, my son and husband came into the living room in their pajamas. My husband, who had been acting strange earlier, was now smiling normally. Maybe it's better not to think too deeply about it. With that thought, I headed to the changing room to take my own bath. About a week later, I received a phone call. It was from Raphael's kindergarten. Hello. Are you Raphael's mother? Yes. Did something happen to Raphael? Raphael fell from the jungle gym at kindergarten. What? He's conscious and his life isn't in danger, but we think it would be best to have him checked at the hospital just to be safe. I understand. I'll head there right away. We've already called an ambulance, so you can go directly to the hospital. Thank you. Which hospital? The large hospital nearest to the kindergarten has agreed to take him. I understand. I'll head there immediately. I wrapped up my work, informed my colleagues and supervisor that I needed to leave early, and rushed to the hospital. My son had apparently been crying hard and was now sleeping after being given a sedative. Then, the doctor who examined my son came in. Are you Raphael's mother? Yes. Is he all right? As far as the fall from the jungle gym is concerned, he's fine. Is there something else? Has Raphael ever undressed in front of others? Undressed? For example, at places like spas where you need to take off your clothes. I've never taken him to a spa. My husband strongly objected. Your husband? Yes. Every night, my husband bathes with our son. Regarding Raphael, there are many bruises on his upper body that don't appear to be from falling from the jungle gym. Bruises. Not birthmarks. Have you never seen Raphael undressed? My husband extremely dislikes Raphael being naked in front of others. Ma'am, please stay calm as you listen. Raphael is likely being abused. What? Before your husband arrives at the hospital, please take a look at Raphael's body. I understand. Also, since these are definitely abuse injuries, I'm sorry, but I've contacted the police. It's mandatory. The police. My gentle husband, abusing. So that's why he was so adamant about the bath. But Raphael never seemed afraid of his father. While thinking about various things, I undressed my sleeping son. Just as the doctor said, there were many bruises, both new and old. There were also scrapes that seemed to be from falling from the jungle gym, but the numerous bruises were not new injuries from falling from playground equipment. My son always smiles, but was he internally afraid of my husband? Maybe his wanting to go to the spa and wanting to bathe with me were his ways of sending an SOS. Why couldn't I notice? I blamed myself, but what's important now is what happens next. If my husband is repeatedly abusing him, I need to protect Raphael. However, if my husband becomes enraged, Raphael might become a victim of his outlet again. I thought hard about what I should do, what would be best. Regardless of the method, I need to separate my son and husband immediately. Thanks to the doctor reporting to the police, we can buy some time. I decided to take Raphael and return to my parents' home. Fortunately, Raphael only had a bump on his head, so he was able to be discharged that day. Seeing my face, my son seemed relieved and started crying. That hurt. If it had been my husband here instead of me, would he have cried the same way? I told Raphael that we would be living at Grandma's house for a while, but he seemed somewhat dissatisfied. Isn't Papa coming too? No, just Raphael and Mama are going to Grandma's. Will Papa be okay without me? What do you mean? Papa, you see, he can't feel better without me. I help make Papa's bad things go away. You mean when Papa hits or kicks you? Yes. My son is still small and doesn't understand the meaning of abuse. He probably thinks he's helping relieve his father's stress. Thinking about my brave son, I couldn't stop my tears. At the same time, hatred for my husband welled up inside me. That night, I took my son and returned to my parents' home. I didn't contact my husband at all. When he returns home, he'll notice we're gone and contact me. I determined in my heart to protect my son from my husband and never let them meet again. The call from my husband, who must have returned from work, came after 10 p.m. My son was already asleep. Hey, where are you? I've separated Raphael from you. Why would you do that? Raphael's body was covered in bruises. That was your doing, wasn't it? Wait a minute. What evidence do you have to say such things? Since marrying you, I've never once seen Raphael naked. I'm frustrated I didn't notice. I don't know what to do without Raphael. So you were victimizing a young child like that. Tell me where you are, I'll come pick you up. Your parents' house. I'm divorcing you. I'll raise Raphael. That's too sudden. The police will contact you soon. Tell them the truth. Isn't divorce too extreme? I want to separate Raphael from you. Divorce is the best way to do that. I told my husband I was divorcing him and hung up. To think he had been habitually hitting such a small child. To think that my son, who should have been protected, was absorbing my husband's frustrations. Thinking about how difficult it must have been for my son all this time, tears came again. From the next day, I applied for shorter working hours at my company and changed Raphael's kindergarten to a daycare center. Then, I filed for divorce mediation at the family court. Though it wasn't necessary to hire a lawyer, I had the hospital doctor write a medical certificate about the abuse and took photos of my son's bruises. My husband was apparently contacted by the police and admitted to the abuse. Because it became a police matter, the mediators were sympathetic to my son and me. The mediation took about half a year, but I'm satisfied with the results. My husband was charged with assault and apparently borrowed money to pay the fine. He got 5 years of probation. What was decided in the mediation was that the divorce was successfully finalized and that my husband and son would not be allowed to meet. Though I hadn't expected much financially, it was decided that he would pay $30,000 as compensation for my son and $700 monthly in child support. I plan to save the $30,000 compensation and give it to my son when he becomes an adult. My husband apparently had no money at all and borrowed the compensation amount from his company. I heard through the grapevine that because his child abuse was covered in online news, he's completely isolated at work. However, because he borrowed money from the company, he can't quit until he repays it. He apparently works at the company as usual during the day, does part-time work at a fast food restaurant after regular hours, and works at construction sites at night, working around the clock. He's apparently quite worn down, but his company colleagues whisper that it's self-inflicted. My son and I ended up staying at my parents' home for a while. Though my salary decreased somewhat due to shorter working hours, I'm able to save bit by bit. My parents are also happy to live with their grandchild, and the house is always lively. I wonder if this could be considered filial piety in a broader sense. Raphael and I are not related by blood. But I realized through this experience that blood ties aren't everything. I love Raphael more than anything. Maybe because the abuse from his father has stopped, my son's expression is now bright and shining. 2 years later, when my son started elementary school, we moved to a rental property near my parents' home. This is a fresh start, the beginning for us as parent and child. Raphael, do you enjoy being with Mama? I really enjoy it. Because Mama never hits me. I'll never do such things, so don't worry. But I wonder if Papa is doing okay. You don't need to worry about that. Papa is an adult, so he'll be fine. When my son started elementary school, I changed from shorter working hours back to regular hours at my company. Both work and family life are going well. I will continue to build a warm home full of laughter with my son. Though I don't intend to spoil him, I swore to myself that I would protect him properly.